All right, folks, we have some breaking news and some stunning reporting from the Wall Street Journal. According to them, Donald Trump is making a last-ditch attempt to try to convince Republicans not to vote for the release of the Epstein files. Of course, that vote is scheduled for this upcoming week, and Donald Trump has been in full-blown panic mode over it. He does not want the Epstein files to come out. He is pulling every dirty trick in the book to prevent that from happening, including what we're about to go through in this article. It is really stunning. So look, before we do any of that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know if you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think about this story as well. And without further ado, let's dive in. I want to start with Representative Thomas Massie, who, of course, was one of the Republicans who really got this ball rolling with Representative Ro Khanna on that discharge petition. He spoke on ABC this morning about Trump's attempts to intimidate him and other Republicans, speaking right at the heart of what the Wall Street Journal is talking about. And I think you should hear the clip because this is coming from somebody who has gotten the entire pressure of the world, essentially, from the White House on him because of what he's doing on Epstein. Take a look.
The president has gone after you in some deeply personal ways. I mean, attacking you over and over again, even attacking you for regarding your wedding, your recent wedding, which, by the way, congratulations. What do you make of all that? And he's obviously supporting your primary opponents. I mean, what kind of retribution are you facing?
You know, my wife told me, she said, "I told you so. We should have invited Donald Trump. He's mad that he didn't get an invitation." So we're taking it with a grain of salt. He's being a bully or trying to be a bully. And they're trying to beat me here in Kentucky. But here's what's interesting. The people financing this campaign consist completely of 3 billionaires, and they're all in the Epstein class. In fact, one of them is named in Epstein's phone book. Not the secret files that the FBI is keeping, but in Epstein's phone book. So it's a small world. Dogs don't bark at parked cars.
Wow. I mean, just think about what Thomas Massie is saying there, that these Epstein-connected billionaires are funding his opponent because they don't want the files to come out, and Donald Trump is endorsing his opponent because he also doesn't want the files to come out. It really seems like people with connections to Epstein have a lot to hide, so much so that they're willing to publicly bully people and use their money to do so to prevent the truth from coming out. That seems incredibly suspicious to me. And that brings us to this Wall Street Journal article where they're talking about this last-ditch attempt by Donald Trump. They write that Trump is making a last-ditch push to dissuade House Republicans from supporting a measure this week to release files related to Epstein. Trump failed last week to stop a House petition from reaching the critical 218th signature, including those of 4 Republicans, prompting the House to hold a vote this coming week mandating that the DOJ turn over its Epstein-related files. While the proposal is expected to pass with all Democrats and at least some Republicans in the House of Representatives, broader GOP defections could show the limits of the White House's power. I mean, Thomas Massie and others have said that they could expect up to 100 Republicans in the House of Representatives to vote in favor of this measure, which would be huge. That'd be great. Democrats, quote, want to waste people's time, and some of the dumber Republicans like that, Trump said on Air Force One. Asked whether Trump was trying to dissuade House Republicans from voting yes, White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said, quote, Democrats and the mainstream media are desperately trying to use this hoax, calling it a hoax again. Apparently, the abuse of little girls is a hoax to the White House, as a distraction to talk about anything other than the president's many wins, including the fight over the government shutdown. So really trying to talk about anything except Epstein. Donald Trump just reeks of guilt. He just reeks of guilt. You know, if he was innocent, we wouldn't even be in this situation, right? If he hadn't done anything wrong, if he hadn't had a close association with Epstein, we wouldn't be in this situation, but he did, right? And that's why he's covering up the files. That's why he's doing everything he can to prevent them from coming out. That's why he's intimidating Congress people. It's just so gross, and it's so obvious. The vote, pushed for months by, of course, Thomas Massie, who we just heard from, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with Democrat Rep. Ro Khanna of California, will put all House lawmakers, I should say, on the record. Trump has continued to try to raise the stakes for GOP lawmakers who are balancing voters' outrage over the case against Trump's claims that the push for more Epstein disclosures is a Democratic effort to hurt Republicans politically. And this was one of the press conferences that Democrats and Republicans spoke at with victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Khanna, who's hosting another event on Tuesday alongside Greene and Massie with Epstein survivors, said on NBC's Meet the Press that he's hoping for 40-plus Republicans, which is a more modest projection than we've seen from others. Tension spilled into the open in recent days, with Trump taking aim at fellow Republicans, including politically disowning Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I actually have some things I want to point out and highlight about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Number one is that a letter was sent to her specifically from a list of Epstein survivors, including some people whose names are on the record and even some Jane Does who don't want to be publicly identified. It says, Marjorie Taylor Greene, thanks for standing up against the intimidation, silencing, and abuse that Epstein survivors have endured for decades. When you speak the truth and refuse to bow to threats, you become a survivor by proxy, an ally who carries part of that light with us. So these Epstein survivors are incredibly thankful for what Marjorie Taylor Greene has done. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is still out of her mind crazy. She is still a complete conspiracy theorist, somebody who is dangerous to American democracy, but she has stood firm on the Epstein issue. And that's the only props I can give her in her political career, because everything else she's tried to hurt America. But on this issue, at least she has stood firm and even standing up to Donald Trump. And these Epstein survivors also are giving their thanks to her. And I do want to highlight, in conjunction with this Wall Street Journal article we're going through, the one line that a paragraph, I should say, that Marjorie Taylor Greene included in her post where she leaked her text messages with Donald Trump that we talked about on the show the other day. She said, of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example to scare all of the other Republicans before next week's vote. And that's exactly what the Wall Street Journal is reporting on exclusively here, that Donald Trump is going hard after these Republicans to make an example out of them, to say, hey, if you're a Republican, I'll come after you. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is the example, so you better not do it, otherwise you'll become her. That kind of thing that Donald Trump appears to be doing, and that's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting on that he's also doing privately. House Speaker Mike Johnson and other leaders had argued against the need for Epstein measures, saying that a continuing effort by the House Oversight Committee is making progress, but not making enough progress. He said it's a political exercise, and we're going to dispense with that this week regarding the Epstein vote. It's just so disgusting to me how a lot of these Republicans are referring to this vote. I mean, Mike Johnson's calling it a political exercise. Donald Trump in the White House calls it a hoax. It's not a hoax. It's not a political exercise. This is justice for people who were abused, victims of this awful man and his trafficking ring. And they're just, it's a political exercise. Not everything's politics. Not everything is, we're trying to get a win over the Republicans, over the win over the It's just justice. It's insane. If the measure passes the House, it would then go to the Senate, where its fate remains unclear. It's also something that could be vetoed by Donald Trump, which would require a 2/3 supermajority. And we'll see what the numbers are in the Senate. But I think we're kind of approaching that number in the House of Representatives, but we'll see. Already, GOP lawmakers, including Representative Don Bacon, Andy Biggs, and Tim Burchett, have said that they will vote for it. One said, Bacon, the train has left the station on this. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and get it done. I wish the president realized that. The more the White House pushes back on this, it just looks bad. Other Republicans have said they'll vote no. Representative Troy Nehls said the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax to distract us from the winnings of Donald Trump and his administration. So it really seems like they got their marching orders. Just say, it's a distraction from Donald Trump's wins. It's really gross. And of course, Lauren Boebert has been pressured by the White House to take her name off the petition, but she didn't. She was summoned to the White House to meet with Attorney General Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Neither she nor Nancy Mace withdrew their names. Boebert said she had no disagreements with Trump and that he's an amazing man. So she is still being incredibly loyal to him, despite everything that he's done in connection with Epstein and his cover-up of the files. But she's still saying he's an amazing man and everything like that. And there's more. Of course, more than 20,000 emails were made public recently as part of this whole story, which really kicked everything off. So, this is pretty crazy. This is pretty crazy that Donald Trump is doing all of this in public and in private and not really even trying to hide that he's trying to cover up the files. But man, oh man, is Donald Trump in for a rude awakening this week when we see this discharge petition, this bill, completely pass the House of Representatives in what's supposed to be an overwhelming vote. But we shall see. I will keep you updated on all of that. Make sure to subscribe down below. Drop a like on the video. Comment. Let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.